Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Everyone, I hope that you're having a great day and you are ready for the program ahead. Today, we'll be doing the headlines, and the headlines include everything from car companies to Australia planning to compel social media outlets to reveal trolls. Because, it's one thing to kind of flag accounts and take them down, but in keeping with Australia's goals lately, they are looking to actually unmask those on the internet. So the destruction of privacy online, we have the unfortunate death of Mr. Goxx, and we'll be going back and looking over the life of that spectacular hamster. That, and honestly, the news was a little light. Cyber Monday, Black Friday was just a little while ago. The Thanksgiving break, we took Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off, and the news has been rather slow, but we're able to find some gems, so all you have to do is sit back and relax. And hey, if you forget anything, computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything, including the show notes, past shows, future shows, wherever podcasts are heard. Simply search Computer America, and we should pop up there as well. Now, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started with computer and technology news, brought to you by Computer America. So I think a good place to start is this actually surprising statistic, and it's not surprising one way, but I think it is surprising in the magnitude that we are looking at here, where you have this article from TechRadar.pro, and they're talking about how barely anyone has upgraded to Windows 11. And there's a number of reasons for that the article gives, everything from the fact that only so many computers in the recent years can actually upgrade it. There are some things in the BIOS that you have to change. Your computer has to be TPM 2.0 compatible, which only a select number of motherboards and CPUs are actually compatible with that in the past 5 or 6 years. And let's face it, thanks to the chip shortage, people have been holding on to their computers for quite a while. The pandemic has done nothing for the availability of newer CPUs and motherboards to hit the market. And hey, also on top of that, Microsoft didn't exactly make it mandatory. They made it optional, unlike Windows 10 in a lot of ways. And to put some numbers to what I'm talking about, only 0.21%. So that's 1 out of every 500 computers out there is running Windows 11. That's not many. To put that into perspective, about 3.62, or again, almost 4 out of every 100 computers is running Windows XP, for instance. Yes, all the way back in 2000. Windows XP still being run on 4% of all computers. And then even Windows 8, the often panned Windows 8 that, everyone could not wait to get to Windows 10 from, is still running at 0.95%, almost 1 out of every 100. So really puts into perspective that, hey, 5 times as many people are running Windows 8 than they are running Windows 11. So, and the funny part is that the reviews for Windows 11, the people who've used it, and at least that I've talked to, don't really say that it's a bad operating system. It's a little bit more, with that Apple bent twist flavor to it. It's still very much a Windows 10-like operating system. They didn't deviate too far from it. They've updated some stuff, polished it a little bit more, and by and large should be something that that Windows users should gravitate towards. But again, you really have to give credit to the fact that only a certain handful of computers are able to run Windows 11. And honestly, like, the article kind of paints it in a bad light. They're talking about Windows 7, Windows XP, the fact that people are still running these operating systems that have reached their end of life. They're no longer getting security updates. They're no longer getting patches. They're no longer doing really any kind of maintenance on these operating systems. And yes, they should upgrade if they can. I know that a lot of them are being run in, large organizations, but still, they should upgrade. They should be upgraded. Windows 11, though, has very strict security requirements that the hardware needs to match. It's not just the software, not just ticking the boxes and you're good to go. The hardware needs to match the software. And that's a really good thing. That means that Windows 11 has the opportunity to, maybe not be as backwards compatible, but hey, we have Windows 10 for that. If you need that backwards compatibility, Windows 10 is not going anywhere for a number of years, and Windows 11 can be very forward-facing because Windows 10 is a very solid operating system. A lot of people like it. They said, maybe it was the right move to skip Windows 9 altogether and just go on over to 10 because it was pretty great. So the fact that you can't really upgrade all the machines out there, and you definitely can upgrade, machines that are older than 5 or 6 years to Windows 11, means that, hey, there will always be operating systems that just, up until this point, you could run Windows, let's say 8, 10, 7, whatever it was, on older hardware. It may be a little bit slower, might not have the resources that that they kind of recommend, but you could do it. No, Windows 11 is only for modern computers. And that's perfectly okay. So the article talks a bit about, kind of the security risks that are involved, the security risks that are involved in this kind of thing, but hey, that's okay because it's okay to be forward facing with your with your operating system. So, but at the same time, 0.21%, one in every 500, those were some shocking numbers. And I truly do hope that Microsoft does not take this as a personal, that they messed up Windows 11, because by and large, it seems like they haven't. They just made it more strict to upgrade than previous operating systems, and that's okay. So there you go. Okay, so that was story number 1. Story number 2, let's go ahead and move over to just these 2 stories real quick. Let's see, it was this one, and here we go. 2 car stories. The first one really highlighting an ongoing issue, and that is the chip shortage. It's not just affecting GPUs, CPUs. It's not just affecting TVs and monitors and pre-built computers and things like that. No, we see here it's affecting a lot of different segments of the market. One of them is, of course, BMW, where with their cars, they're actually taking out what is becoming, quickly becoming standard, they're quickly becoming standard, the front and center console, the control console that does the rear view camera and the, kind of everything that goes along with it. They are taking those out of certain models. The following models are going to be shipped without touchscreen functionality, including the BMW 3 Series, 4 Series, X5, X6, X7, and Z4. So it sounds like a lot of the higher end models will still have it, but the low and mid-range BMWs will not have it. They're saying that, as you know, the global chip shortage, and this is a quote, is ongoing and impacting automakers worldwide. We are actively managing the situation and are in close contact with our suppliers. We do not have any further details to share at this time. So, BMW confirmed this to us. So expect $500 off the price of your BMW if it doesn't come with touch screen functionality. So actually, I take that back. It sounds like the tablet monitor thing is still going to be there, but then the touch screen that will seem to go away. Vehicles without touchscreen functionality should be arriving at dealerships soon, and then it's up to the customer to decide if $500 is enough of a boon to still drive their brand new car without a touchscreen. And think about it, a lot of these cars are, in some cases, $40, $50, $60, $80,000. Would you still buy it without a touchscreen if it were, $79,500 as opposed to $80,000? I think I would feel much more or much less cautious about this kind of thing if they promise that, buy it without a touchscreen, get a discount, and then maybe later at a reduced rate, get a touchscreen added back into it if you like. Because people don't just throw away their cars like they do, modern computers and laptops and so on and so forth. You can expect these cars on the road for the next 15, 20, 30 years. It would be nice if they had a way to kind of earmark these and say that this should get a touchscreen in the coming years. So, hey, maybe a wait and see kind of thing, but BMW managing their chip consumption with, not including touchscreen functionality. So that was story number 2. Story number 3, and this is what you like to see from Nissan in particular, and really just trying to catch up with a lot of other car manufacturers out there. They have the, and let's see, we can actually go ahead and mute this tab, and it goes on to show the Nissan Future, which is very electrified. So we'll have the video playing in the background here, but let's go ahead and do the article. This is by Steve Dent over at Engadget, saying that Nissan is to invest $17.6 billion in EV development over the next 5 years. And they're saying that with Ambition 2030, it aims to develop 23 new electrified cars by 2030. And they're showing off a lot of concept cars, this idea that, a lot of them are self-driving, and hey, they're hoping this $18 billion investment is really going to push them into the next decade. They said that 20 of those will be coming in the next 5 years. It's shooting for a market mix of 75% electrified in Europe, 55% in Japan, and 40% in the US and China by 2030. The other part of that mix would presumably be internal combustion engines. It's worth noting that in early 2021, Nissan said it planned to electrify all new electric cars by early 2030. Presumably, any ICE vehicles, or again, the internal combustion engine, will still be available, would be legacy models to them. So, the company said it plans to expand its ProPilot drive assistant technology over 2.5 million Nissan and Infiniti vehicles by 2026. It will also incorporate next-gen LiDAR systems on virtually every new model by 2030. As part of Ambition 2030, Nissan has unveiled no less than 4 concept cars: Chill Out, Surf Out, Hang Out, and Max Out. Not the most creativity with the naming scheme, but there you go. Like most concepts, they're meant to give a taste of the technology that they are hoping to show off, and that includes redesigned interior. However, Nissan has only shown images of Chill Out as a real vehicle with renders of the other 3 vehicles. The Surf Out, meanwhile, they talk about each one of these here, and again, you can check out the video. We'll include this in the show notes. But yeah, they're saying that Nissan's new plan comes as the company has grappled with internal problems, including the arrest and subsequent flight of former CEO Carlos Ghosn. In the short term, the company plans to cut about $2.65 billion in fixed costs and reduce production capacity by 20% as part of its Nissan Next plan unveiled last year. So there you go. They're doing a lot of reorganization, and what these cars will finally be. It sounds like Nissan, to them, this is like their last-ditch effort, and it really does feel like that. If they can't come out with something that is actually the future, they're cutting production. They're not going to make as many cars, but they have to make cars in the future that people are actually going to want. And hey, they're hoping among these 4 different concept vehicles and 23, concept vehicles in the next 5 years with another, 30 some odd vehicles by 2030. They're hoping that they do make those cars that people are actually going to want. And electric vehicles seem to be a big part of that. So there you have it. Nissan might be something to watch out for. Okay, so there's that one. Let's go ahead and move over to the unfortunate, untimely demise of everyone's favorite hamster. That is, if you're in the cryptocurrency space. Mr. Goxx, the cryptocurrency trading hamster, dies. If you don't recall, we covered this story a little while ago, and it had to do with Mr. Goxx, who is pictured above. He passed away peacefully on Tuesday. This was published a couple of days ago, so last week. And there you go. So Mr. Goxx unfortunately died. He was shot to internet fame for his ability to often outperform human investors using a specially built trading cage, and he died on Tuesday. So we talked about him before, where he had his quote-unquote office that he would go into, only a couple hours a day. He would eat from different places. He would sit on different things. He would, just kind of be a hamster on, he would just be a hamster in his little quote unquote office, and that would trigger, buy this cryptocurrency, sell that cryptocurrency. He would, kind of do a bunch of little things that, let's face it, it was really the proverbial chimps in a room full of typewriters and writing Shakespeare. He was outperforming actual investors with with true randomness. So there you go. And they're saying that the furry financier's official Twitter account announced the hamster's death to his 18,000 followers, and you proved to us that the internet doesn't necessarily have to be a toxic wasteland. So there you go. And actually, they even show a picture here of his office, two different tubes, one for buy, one for sell, and the wheel that he would exercise on would change which cryptocurrency he was going to purchase. So there you go. And by the way, for anyone who's just joining us, just want to throw it out there for everyone. Computer America has definitely changed its format a bit. We are now officially just full-on podcast, and we're really excited about it. We just had an interview last week with an electric bike company. We're doing multiple podcasts a day, and of course the live stream over at twitch.tv/Computer America. So if anything, it's more Computer America, not less. And hey, we're really excited to be doing it. So just a little aside for USS Rover. But so by and large, Mr. Goxx will best be remembered for his ability to, not just invest wisely, as most hamsters I'm sure are capable of, but just the fact that he brought happiness to Twitter and his followers, and it was a fun project. Not often do you see these projects that are truly just fun, because it was it was a serious topic. Obviously, people want to make money. Obviously, people want to, invest wisely. But hey, sometimes you need to take a step back and say, you can try all you want. Try your best. Consume as much as you can. Really process the market as best you can. But sometimes you are just not going to outcompete Mr. Goxx, the crypto trading hamster. You can try, though. You can certainly try. So, the Twitter account announced that we feared this day like no other and are truly shocked for it to happen just now. In deep sorrow, we have announced the loss of our beloved furry friend. So, rest in peace, Mr. Goxx, and there you have it. It's pretty crazy. So, there's that story. Let's move on to lighter things. And how about, lighter things. Okay, this is definitely lighter. If you've used Zoom, and I know that for a lot of the interviews here at Computer America, we've used Zoom, you too could be entitled to $25 from Zoom following a class action settlement. And just like most class action settlements, even though you've invested in the platform, you may have spent $100, $200, $300, $400, $500, they've been found guilty of selling your data and just, general impropriety. It doesn't even matter. Hey, it doesn't even matter. It's you get 15 or $25. We'll see what happens. And So here we go. Let's find out who's eligible, how much you get, how to get it. We'll find out all that. So they said that if you people who use Zoom between 2016 and 2021 can now file a claim to receive $25 or $15 as compensation. That's not much, but hey, better than nothing, especially since I honestly think not a lot of people actually changed their habits when they found out that, and I'm sure this was over the claim that Zoom falsely said their communications were end-to-end encrypted. And that was really funny to And that was really funny to kind of come to the story with, was that Zoom promised end-to-end encryption. They promised, quicker than anything communication. They promised ease of use, ease of access, super security. It was all too good to be true. And then they found out that it was. They just kind of threw up these internet protocols. They were super easy to hack. They were super easy to drop in on random calls. The security was almost non-existent. Zoom promised everything, delivered nothing. But what they did deliver was a very easy to use video conference platform that really took off during the early days of the pandemic. And then they almost went after the fact and said, oh yeah, crap, we lied about all that, but we're going to put that in here soon. So they finally did, I think around mid-July or, kind of summer 2021, they finally did implement end-to-end encryption, but obviously a lot of information was already out there. You won't be me, never use Zoom, LOL. Yeah, and that's actually surprising to hear because so many classes and offices, telecommuting, so much of it, Zoom seems to just come in right at the best possible moment. If you were a time traveler and you said, how do I make a lot of money seemingly legitimately, you could not have placed, unless you knew the future, you could not have placed Zoom at a better crossroads for explosive growth. It was really something to behold. Now, if you're a class member who paid for Zoom Meetings app subscription between March 30th, 2016 and July 30th, 2021, you are eligible to file a claim for 25 or 15% of the money that you paid to Zoom for the core subscription. And during that time, whichever is greater, for example, if you spent $75 on a Zoom Meeting app subscription during the relevant time period, 15% of $75 is $11.25, and because $11.25 is less than $25, your claim would be for $25. So $25 or 15%. If you were a subscriber for that entire time, then hey, maybe you might be due more. But yeah, it seems like most people will get about $25. Let's see. So users who want the money can file a claim at zoommeetingsclassaction.com, which will include that in the show notes. Let's see. Let's see if we can just pull this up right here on the show. Yep. And it's a pretty boring looking page, but hey, $25 is $25. You can do it by here or by mail. There's the FAQ and all that good stuff. And of course, if you want to sue them yourself, you can exclude yourself from the class action right there. But that's a whole different issue. So the settlement was reached in part after Motherboard found that Zoom app transferred data to Facebook, even if the Zoom user did not have a Facebook account. Zoom removed the relevant code in response. And, that's just kind of how applications are built nowadays. They are a hodgepodge of relevant terms of service. Almost everything is kind of Facebook entwined. You would be surprised at the number of apps that are just pumped out by third-party app developers, and they just include that functionality by default, even if it's not asked for. Hey, it's just standard. And working with Facebook is by and large a standard feature, even though it's not good. Trust me, I know. Even though it is not good. there you have it. Okay, so that was story number 5. Story number 5. Only a couple more left. Again, it was a really quiet, hopefully everyone had a great Thanksgiving, but hey, seems like the tech world really took one off. I really over the month of December, I should be hyping up that we'll be covering a lot of the announcements and actually interviewing a lot of the companies out at CES 2022. So if you are at all interested to see the latest technology over the coming year, check us out early January. We're going to be covering CES 2022 for all about 4 days, the day before, and then of course the 3 days that it is there as well. So, hey, join us here and enjoy that with us. Okay, so there's that story. Just for a quick one, if you don't recall, Jack Dorsey stepped down as CEO. Well, and now today he did again as well. So check this one out. He said that this one coming from CNBC, and they chose their acting chief technical officer to take over for him. And he was serving as both the CEO of Twitter and Square, and they said that the company's chief technical officer is taking over as CEO effective immediately. So it sounds like he stepped down as the CEO of Twitter, but he's keeping his position as CEO of Square. And fun fact, even though we hear about Twitter every single day, you may not use it. Trust me, a lot of people don't, or at least they don't use it correctly. Square actually has twice the market capitalization that Twitter does. And Twitter, I'm sure, causes a lot more gray hair than Square ever will. So for him to step down, I'm sure that he's... actually, let's just hear it directly from himself. He said in a statement, quote, "I've decided to leave Twitter because I believe the company is ready to move on from its founders." And he said in a statement, though he didn't provide any additional detail on why he decided to resign. The company said earlier this year that it aims to have 315 million monetizable people who are worth money, daily active users by the end of 2023, and to at least double its annual revenue in that year. So, the new currently acting CEO, he's been with the company since 2017, been there for quite a while, and he seems to be someone who's very familiar with tech companies. Obviously, kind of gets into the financials of everything, but it's not surprising. Again, he was ousted once before as Twitter CEO. He was brought back to kind of get it back on his feet. I think he's done that very, very well. And hey, it's now up for Twitter to make it or not, because it's really, really hard, especially in the field that they're in, to stay relevant. I mean, unless you're Facebook, which, even though they're so big, Facebook still has so much bad press. Twitter has an equal amount of bad press, but a lot less money and a lot less revenue. So even though people talk about using it and they may have Twitter accounts, how many people are actually looking at their ads, using their platform, engaging with Twitter? And I'm sure that number is a lot low. So to think that Twitter is a sure thing, not so much. Let's see. Let's see. So, do not post much on Twitter. 3 times got put in timeout for posting all the giveaways. And of course, we often do giveaways and articles and things like that. Honestly, that's something that I'm hoping to do here in the near future for Computer America, is just kind of get better at using social media. I know that we just kind of post updates that, hey, this, we just went live, or we posted this contest, or we just uploaded a new podcast. We could definitely do better. It's just wading into the cesspool that is social media. It's not something that we recommend a lot of people do, but I know that when it's done correctly, very helpful for businesses, and when done correctly and consumed in moderation, hey, it can even be good for the individuals who are on social media. But, unless you're into politics, there's, why even be on Twitter if you're not into politics? I don't know. But hey, we can do better. So there's that story. Only about 3 more left, and then we'll go ahead and kind of call it a day. But Just a quick update. We're not even going to show you the picture or anything like that, but later this week, later this week, so Wednesday, we're going to be getting an update on Section 230 reforms, and I'm hoping to do a special segment on that maybe Thursday or Friday. And if you don't recall, Section 230, speaking of social media, was the rule that, quote-unquote, made the internet. It allowed people to have profiles, post on image boards, post on message boards, and not be held, and the message board themselves not be held accountable for the content of the posters, as long as they acted in, quote-unquote, good faith. That has evolved over time to allow near impunity for Twitter and Facebook and Google and so many other services, that it's time to kind of revisit and say, is this working? And clearly it's not really, but how do we improve on it? How do we make sure that these companies can exist but are also held accountable for the information that is being spread on those platforms? It's it's reached a fevered pitch ever since the beginning of this year, and hey, it's time to look at it once again. So we'll be getting more update on which way lawmakers are kind of going with that, but yeah, we'll know more later in the week, so keep an eye out for that. Okay, another quick update. This is from Engadget, and they're saying that Black Friday, every year we talk about the sales on Black Friday, and they talk about how good the sales are doing. Because, hey, the internet, even though it's so ubiquitous at this point, it's still pretty new, and it's still growing year over year. Until this year, they're saying that Black Friday online sales reportedly dipped for the first time ever. That's right. All it took to stop the rapid growth of the internet and internet sales, all it took was a massive pandemic and severely reduced the spendable income of millions of people. They're saying that, back in 2020, people spent $9 billion back on Black Friday 2020, and now this year, we have $8.9 billion spent, so about $100 million less, and that was the estimations by Adobe. The tech firm believed the dip reflected a shift towards earlier shopping as buyers took advantage of internet deals starting as early as October. And obviously, why cram your shopping into a single day when you can take advantage of discounts weeks in advance? Which honestly sounds like a good thing considering the hardships companies are having filling deliveries and getting things to your door. It's getting harder and harder. So the products people were buying changed as the weekend progressed. Black Friday sales were dominated by Instant Pots, air fryers, and toys, but Saturday sales were led by AirPods, entry-level iPads, the Meta Quest 2, and TVs from the likes of Samsung, TCL, and Vizio. Game sales included Just Dance 2022 and last year's Spider-Man Miles Morales. So clearly, they noticed that more people were comfortable making the final purchase from their phone, and while some Black Friday shoppers were merely browsing on their phone before buying at a computer, mobile purchases represented 44% of all Black Friday sales. So a little bit of trend shifting, but not all that concerning. It would be surprising to me if people did just, kind of spend more over the previous weeks, but hey, also makes a lot of sense. Okay, just two more stories, and actually this one is, I feel like I talk about China so much, at this point it's almost beating a dead horse, but yeah, we'll include this in the show notes if you want to check out more. The skinny of it, and the BBC did a great kind of report on this, and it's about China's surveillance of journalists to use traffic light system. So they put out a contract back in 2015, I think, and then by 2017 it was filled by a particular company. The name escapes me. Let's see, that was, here we go, by Newsoft, N-E-U Soft. And essentially what they have is they're going to combine all of the cameras around China, and everything from traffic cameras to store cameras to security cameras, whatever it may be, and they're going to put namely and they kind of have a diagram here that's not exactly translated, but they did that, they did the hard part for us. And one of the groups that they are going to be tracking here are journalists, and they're going to be put in either green, amber, or red category. Red is highly concerned. They should be captured and dealt with immediately. Amber are those who should be notified of their movement and, kind of kept an eye on. And green are, you're good to go, perfect, don't need to do a thing. So 3 different categories, and these can include foreign journalists. So if you happen to be a journalist that they don't like, and you fly into China, using a false name, a false identity, whatever it may be, but then they capture you on their, on one of their cameras, and they can identify you and take you in, then, hey, you're kind of out of luck. Like, you would have to change your face or cover your face, almost at all times to be able to get through China without raising suspicion. They're also using this system, so not just journalists, but also women. And I guess millions of women come to China for opportunity and work, and they namely look at those who are students, and they put foreign students in the same category, including did you go to your exams on time? Did you how well you do in class? Are there any behavioral marks against you? They include all that information in with your profile when you're identified. So yeah, they're really trying to tie in as many little pieces of information on students, journalists, women who go there for work, and more. Just keeping track of almost everyone. But hey, if you've been paying attention, this is not exactly surprising or new or different. I guess what's, and they have a quote here from the article saying that these documents shed light on what China's public security officials want from mass surveillance. And that's really the headline, is that it's further outlining exactly what China wants from mass surveillance, because it's one thing to track 1.3 1.4 million people. It's another thing to really understand why are they doing it. It's not to solve crime, it's not to make people better people, it's to kind of stamp out fires before they become too big. It's to oppress more easily. So there you have it. Again, just we've had special segments on China. I mean, just recently, and by recently I mean the past couple of months, we did the whole social credit system. It's dystopian. And when you kind of mix oppressive regime, governments, and technology, really just look at China and what China's doing. It's that's a story that's going to keep evolving. So we're definitely going to keep an eye on it, but probably not as closely as the Chinese government will. Last one, just so you thought that, that China had all of the monopoly on crazy. Well, looks like Australia is trying to compete, at least somewhat. Australia plans laws to make social networks identify trolls. And part of me is like, well, that's not bad, because hey, trolls, they're awful. They're awful people who want people to feel as awful as they do. Yeah. But also another part of me is thinking, wow, just totally strip all sense of privacy and security from the internet. That sounds really familiar, as in a recent article we just read. Now, Australia could soon make life difficult for internet trolls, if at a significant cost. The Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, has unveiled plans for legislation that, in some cases, could force social networks to reveal the identities of trolls and others making defamatory comments. A complaint mechanism would require online platforms to take these hostile posts down. If they don't, the court system would order a given site to provide details of the offending poster. So part of that I definitely agree with. Take it down if it serves no purpose other than to incite, inflame, and just be shitty. Now, the other part of it, though, they have to provide details of the offending poster. That, though, more so than liking the current internet to a Wild West where anonymous attackers could harm people. If that can't happen in real life, there's no case for it happening online. The proposed laws come weeks after Australian High Court ruled media companies could be held liable for comments on Facebook posts. CNN limited access to its Facebook pages in the country over those liability concerns. The intended legislation would take this a step further by mandating certain actions if a post is deemed harmful. Of course, the question becomes, what is harmful? What is, what actually has true harm? Because clearly, I'm going to kill X person, very, very bad. But what if it's just something that just outlines maybe previous stances that they've gone back on? What if it's their political history, but, that they haven't kept or promises broken, and it's posted on every single one, and it really enrages, derails the conversation. They post it on places that are not appropriate. I mean, where do you kind of draw that line to say this is, with no context, this is very divisive versus, this is clearly over the line and needs to be taken down or the person identified? That's even harder to do. Now, they say that the moves raises privacy questions, saying that obviously being anonymous might help trolls, but it also protects political dissenters and other innocuous critics. Will Australia make sure any identity disclosure laws aren't used to discourage challenges to authority? And without examples of the legislation, it's unclear just what would constitute an offensive serious enough to warrant revealing an identity. So one of the reasons that I kind of feel this to be redundant is the fact that already in most Western countries, and definitely in places like China, if a post is clearly calling for violence, if it breaks some kind of law, the FBI or whatever the equivalent in that country is going to know your identity and location anyways. If you are clearly calling for violence, if you are clearly going to do something illegal, they're gonna know. I mean, I'm reminded of this this young girl who was like 14, called in a bomb threat to an airline, and not called in she posted a comment on like their Facebook page saying, "Hey, I'm going to bomb X flight," and they're like, it was screenshotted, we got your IP, we sent it to the authorities, and they're going to be at your house to arrest you. And they're like, no, I'm so sorry, this was a joke, so on and so forth. And then they found this 14-year-old girl and arrested her. Stuff like that is already being taken care of. What is the point of unmasking internet trolls for the government? Like, clearly, if it crosses a line, they're going to find them anyways. If they have a warrant, absolutely serve it. But this seems like it just kind of paves the way for people who don't agree with the current government or whatever law they're trying to enact. It gives the government a way to unmask that and say, "Oh, you're just X, X and Y. We don't have to listen to your opinion." It no longer lets people just kind of talk without fear of repercussion or retaliation. So it feels like it isn't really needed, but hey, it's these are just plans. I'm sure that these concerns are going to be raised, but also as Computer America, not Computer Australia, I'm just curious, hey, what's going to happen? So everyone, that's about all the stories that we have for today. Again, I think that came in a little loud. I think that's about all the stories we have for today. Be sure to tune in tomorrow as we have another live stream. I apologize, my morning responsibilities kind of went a little bit long, and we hope that you had, again, a great weekend, a great break. We'll be here all month of December, except for the Christmas Eve and Christmas Eve, and I think the week between Christmas Eve and New Year's, we won't be there as well. But everyone, until next time, thank you for tuning in and all that good stuff. So everyone, have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.